The evacuation convoy steamed southward toward the free ports of Pusan and Pohang. Their troops would reland, regroup, and move back to engage the enemy. The military withdrawal by land was orderly as the rest of the 8th Army pulled back once again across the 38th parallel. But for hundreds of thousands of civilians trying desperately to outrun the advancing communists, the journey southward was a nightmare of cold, weariness, and confusion. Children who had no part in the causes of war received full measure of its hardships just the same.
Imagine going on an adventure through the story of a place called the Korean Peninsula. It's like a really intense movie where the people are super brave, living in a spot that's surrounded by big, powerful countries. Korea's story is super exciting and full of action. It's all about how the people there have been super tough and never gave up, no matter how hard things got. A long time ago, there were kings and queens making big decisions, trying to keep their land safe and strong, while other countries were watching them closely. Then, there were even bigger challenges where Korea had to fight to keep its culture and make its own choices. Think of Korea like a hero in your favorite game or book, always ready for the next challenge, learning and getting stronger. This place has seen some really big moments, kind of like battles and adventures, that have made it what it is today. Korea is like a treasure chest of stories about never giving up and being super smart and strong, no matter what comes your way. Let's take a trip way back in time to when Korea's story first started, around 700 BC. Imagine a place called Gojoseon, kind of like the first chapter in a big exciting book about Korea. This place was really special because it was one of the first groups of people to come together and build a kingdom in what's now Korea. They lived near a big river, and their main city was in a place we now call Pyongyang. Imagine dragons. Gojoseon was like a dragon sitting proudly, looking over its land. Gojoseon had some pretty strong neighbors, like China and Manchuria, and they all influenced each other a lot. Think of it as friends in school, sharing ideas, and sometimes competing in sports. Gojoseon was like that, always learning from others, but also trying to stand strong on its own. Down in the south, around 400 BC, there was another place starting up, called the Yin State. It's a bit of a mystery because we don't know as much about it, but it was definitely part of the early story of Korea, adding its own flavor to the mix. This time in history set up a really long and fascinating story of Korea, filled with all sorts of ups and downs, like a roller coaster of power, culture, and big moments that we still remember today. Fast forward a bit, and we see Gojoseon getting really mixed up with the big empires around it. Like when it became part of the Han Dynasty from China. It's like if your neighborhood became really popular and everyone wanted a piece of it. That's how important and cool Korea's land was, right at the heart of big battles and stories. And there were these amazing treasures found in ancient tombs, especially around Pyongyang, that show us how much trade and sharing went on between Korea and China. It's like finding a treasure chest that tells us stories about people from thousands of years ago, showing us how connected everyone was.
It's ready to begin. Across the Yalu, the decision has been made. Full-scale Chinese intervention is about to bring the second phase of the Korean conflict to an end. Eighth Army's end of the war offensive was launched the day after Thanksgiving in 1950. It started out smoothly, but by nightfall of the second day, the UN was facing a new enemy in Korea, and a new war had begun. The Chinese rolled swiftly southward, splitting the Allied line and cutting off Marine and 7th Division troops in the east near the Chosin Reservoir.
We took turns sleeping in the daytime. It was too cold at night. I heard later we lost more people from freezing than from enemy action. Even the mortar rounds froze through the casings. The Chinese had an awful lot of people between us and the beach, but the harbor at Hungnam was our only way out. All our resupply came by air. Without that, we never could have made it. Same goes for the close air support we got from the Marine Air Wing and the...
But then things got really intense with the fall of the Han Dynasty, and a new kingdom called Goguryeo rose up. They were really strong and built big fortresses, and were amazing with horses and bows. Imagine being so good at something that you become famous for it. That was Goguryeo with their military skills. This was also when Korea started to really shape its own identity, even as it dealt with big challenges from neighbors like Japan and China. There were all these kingdoms and dynasties over the years, each adding its own chapter to Korea's story, like building a huge, beautiful mosaic. Even when things got really tough, like invasions from Japan or dealing with big powers like the Mongols, Korea kept on going, always finding a way to keep its culture and identity alive. They even created their own alphabet, which is like writing your own book in your very own language. Through all of this, Korea's story is like an epic adventure, with heroes, challenges, and the spirit to keep moving forward, no matter what. It's a story about a place that's been through a lot, but always finds a way to shine, just like the most exciting stories we love to hear and tell. Korea's story is a thrilling journey through time, beginning with its ancient kingdoms like Gojoseon and the mysterious Yin state, setting the stage for a rich tapestry of history characterized by resilience, cultural exchange, and geopolitical tensions. From the early days, Korea carved its identity amidst the influences of powerful neighbors, evolving through periods of unity and division, prosperity and struggle. The narrative of Korea is marked by its indomitable spirit, as seen in the rise and fall of dynasties like Goguryeo, which showcased remarkable military prowess and cultural achievements, and the enduring legacy of the Joseon dynasty, which fostered a renaissance of Korean culture and science. The complex interplay of internal dynamics and external pressures, including invasions and foreign interventions, has shaped Korea's path, leading to the pivotal moment of division into North and South Korea. This division reflects the culmination of historical forces and the continuing saga of a nation striving to maintain its sovereignty and cultural integrity. Caspian Report's exploration into the Korean conflict, supported by our Patreon community, delves into these themes, offering insights into the forces that have shaped the peninsula's past and continue to influence its present and future. Our work underscores the importance of understanding history's depth and nuance in appreciating the resilience and adaptability of the Korean people. For anyone who's really curious about how Korea ended up being split into two different countries, North and South Korea, we've got a super interesting report that dives into all the details. At Caspian Report, we're able to dig into these fascinating stories because of the amazing people who support us on Patreon. It's their help that lets us keep exploring and telling these complex tales. If you think what we do is cool, and you want to get your hands on some special content that only our supporters see, think about joining our Patreon community. Every little bit of support helps us stay independent and keeps our work going strong. We're really thankful for everyone who's taken an interest in what we do and who helps us share these important stories. Thanks a bunch for being part of our journey and for caring about the stories we tell.